Hello, beautiful people. It is 7 o'clock
on a Wednesday.
And we're here at Braden's house again.
Yeah. I should probably put more effort into trying to find something.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Life's weird. It's a little busy right now.
Kind of wonky. Like, Whitney and I were just talking about it being really a weird last couple of days. Last week, man. The last week has been just all over the roadmap.
Last week, yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
All of January.
I'd say most of January has been a blur, but very specific blurs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot's happened, you know?
Too much. Like,
yeah.
we fast
TikTok
forward
was
in our
banned.
timeline.
TikTok came back.
That was in the blink of an eye.
Trump became president. Elon Musk did his thing.
Very vigorously.
Very vigorously twice, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot to process. We started book club. We had our first meeting. That happened.
Have you guys been up on the up and up? If you haven't seen the posts, if you're interested in the book club, we're doing the first book we're starting with is The Alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a grab bag full of random different genres of books comprised from the club. So
from our first meeting, all the books that were suggested, cut them up and put them in a little baggie and then switched them around and drew. I still have the baggie with all the other books and we can continue adding to it.
As new people join.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Throw a couple titles in there. Anyway, our subject tonight is self-love and introspection. And discovering not only the ways that we love ourselves, but new ways that we can practice self-love.
Right.
That aren't so obvious.
Self-love is a juicy, juicy topic. And we already did a thing on self-love. And we went over, the 7 different love languages and how we can practice using them on ourselves. But if we have worked on that and we come to an understanding, how can we begin to
branch out?
Break some habits and, really recognize...
Well, it's, recognizing yourself. Like, the cool thing about self-love is it's a moment that you get to see the reflection of the love in your soul for yourself. If you look at your everyday habits that you do, those are actions of self-love. You're choosing yourself, you're doing the things, well, I shouldn't say all of the things that you do in the day, but the ones that bring you joy, the ones that are, can be done in peace, I guess you can say. It's because we recognize the amount of love that we give ourselves in those actions. Things that are harder to do, like dishes and laundry and things of that nature. I think a lot of it is we just don't see the love in it. We don't see how it can correlate to us appreciating ourselves and choosing us.
Right. Our first thing on self-love was more like what is self-love and how we can start practicing that. But I feel like when you talk about appreciating the fact that you're doing the dishes and how it can be for you seems a little textbooky. Mm-hmm. So what you said before we started the live.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I use toothbrushing as an example. Like, if you're really good at brushing your teeth every day and it's not something that's hard to do, it's not effort, it's just kind of there, it's because you're choosing to love yourself. You're taking care of yourself. It's a practice that makes you feel something and gives you that confidence, right? And for the people that can't, it's because, I don't know.
I have these little tendrils of thoughts that are right there. And I don't want to name drop everything, and
I guess
I'm trying to think of my own experiences. So, what was it? The other day, Braden and I got together and we were talking about today's topic and how we were just going to discuss it today because I feel like
We had
self-love
a good overview.
is so juicy that it can just, once we get going on it,
But
we can really get rolling. But
we're off to a rocky start.
we
A
talked
really
about it
rocky
the other
start.
day, so now it's like we already talked about it and it's out of my mind, and I'm trying to pull it back. It's recognizing some of the things that you do. So it's just, it feels like it's common sense, but it's not, because once you are working on self-love and you are intentionally choosing you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, purposely doing the dates kind of thing, it's the small things that really keep it together, you know? So it's the small things that you do for you that are out of sight, out of mind. You don't really think about them. So, gosh, you know, when I'm doing the stay-at-home mom thing and my little kids are away, I have downtime with me, and I intentionally take that time and I practice the self-love, and it's intentional, right? And then there's times where I'm bored, but my joints ache and I'm just really feeling down, and my dog's looking lonely, so I decide to take her for a walk, and then I'm taking her for a walk and I feel better. And, you know, it's not that big of a deal, but man, there's so much that went into that I really chose me, and I really don't think about it. And, you know, it was a lazy day. Cool. I took the dog for a walk. But gosh, I'm going to really beat myself up because I didn't get much accomplished that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
If you break that whole day down, there's so many different ways that you can.
I see what you're saying. So it's recognizing a different perspective that allows for you to see where you're choosing you, where you're practicing self-love. It's recognizing that, like, I needed the op day, and I could have just not took the dog for a walk because my bones were achy. I was feeling down. Sitting on the couch and just vegging out for the day really just felt a great way to just decompress. But getting up, getting dressed, taking the dog for a walk, I don't have to look my Sunday best, but I got myself a little bit ready. We went for that walk. I gave myself that exercise, which made my muscles move, which pushed the endorphins into my brain, which actually causes anti-stress hormones, which helps me not feel as bad. And I can recognize that either which way I would have gone would have been an act of self-love, but this one was a bit more productive. It gave me a little bit more, and it allowed me to have something after the walk if I so chose. Or I could be done and I could feel better because I got up and I did something even though I wasn't feeling the greatest for that day. It's when you're doing things in spite of how you're feeling, it's really not just practicing that self-discipline, but it is practicing that self-love. It's giving you that perspective to see this in a different light so it's not as hard to do. So those people that want to go to the gym and they're just finding a hard way to do it, and you say find a different perspective, and we're like, okay, well, maybe I'll just do cardio because I like the cardio, or maybe I'll just do like 15 minutes a day. Like, those are different methods, but the different perspective is, all right, I really want to go because I did it again. I really want to go because I want to be healthy. You know, I want to have better eating habits. I want to make friends, whatever it is, you know, and then it's looking at going deeper and saying, okay, if I want to be healthy, why do I want to be healthy? Is it because I want to be able to, like, keep up with my kids when they get older or as they grow? Is it because my job requires me to have a certain degree of fitness? Like, really dig into that. And as you dig into that, you're going to see the real reason why you want this. And when you find that real reason, you'll start to see all these ways that come back to you to do it. And it's a reflection of the love that you're trying to give yourself. And it's something that you're not comfortable with or you're not used to. Like, how often do you really choose yourself? Like, guys,
Exactly.
we're just now learning how to do this, right? Like,
Self-love is so broad, but if you can learn to let it envelop you,
yeah.
it is.
It could be something
There are so many different layers to self-love. If you are intentional about it, that's one thing. But if you can catch yourself when you're really dogging on yourself and recognize that and turn it back into appreciation.
And here's the thing, if you have the accessibility to it, look into counseling. Even if it's just one therapy session can really set the groundwork for what you want to do. It'll let you know whether you need therapy. It'll let you know where you may need your therapy. It'll let you know whether the therapist you're talking to really gets you or if you should try somewhere else.
Or find friends who are going to therapists.
Well, yeah, or find friends who are going therapists.
And they will love to talk to you about the things that their therapists are talking to them about.
Yeah, that they're exactly. But so like that is its own form of self-love, because you're choosing to get a better idea of where you're at so you can keep moving forward, so that you can find the support groups. Like, honestly, in an ideal world, and I feel like this is really where things are moving to anyway.
Ooh, are you peeking behind the curtain?
Well, a little bit. I really much believe that, like, because we're all consciously grown, because we have TikTok, because we have all these different ideas on how to self-help, if you will, and it's coming from people who are claiming to be psychiatrists to oncologists to the podiatrists, like,
Epidermis.
You've got
epidermists.
Epidermatists. I forget what they're called. But, so you've got all these walks of life sharing bits and pieces of information. And as people are choosing themselves and they're learning, they're growing, they're discovering, they are going within, you're introspecting, you're learning more, you're discovering. Who is that? Oh, sorry, Dad, I'm busy. I shouldn't have picked it up. What were my last words?
Therapists, and now we're all connected.
Oh, yes. So as we are, like, growing and introspecting and learning more about ourselves, it becomes easier to understand others. And as we understand others, we start to find those friends that do the same thing. So pretty soon we won't need therapists in the sense that we have them today. You'll have a group of friends, and different friends will be experts in different areas of life that you realize you need the help with. And that's kind of the point that we're all trying to get to, right? So this is part of it.
It's all circular.
And that's what I love
circular.
about it. It has to be circular.
We're always going to have these issues that we're going to reach out to other people. We're going to feel alone. But then when you learn to be vulnerable and get in touch with yourself, then you do more introspection.
Just think about it. Like, here's a really good example. Like, finding a friend that's really good at making friends, right? You find somebody that's just
the outgoing friend and the shy friend.
Yep. Well, kind of, because, like, the shy friend stays the shy friend, right? That's kind of the perspective of that. But if you are the shy friend and you find that person that can make friends easily,
but
you
the
can
friendly friend is always trying to pull the shy friend into being more open.
Exactly. And if you can learn that, if you can jump into that, because think about it, if you're finding a friend that can make friends easy for the sole fact of being able to learn how to make friends, not only are you going to have an awesome friend, but they're going to teach you an awesome way to make friends. They're going to show you how easy it is, because they're going to be doing it, right? It won't be talk. And then as soon as you learn how to do it and you get good at it, you're not going to leave any other shy person alone. You're going to go out, you're going to go find somebody else and teach them how to make friends. Or somebody's going to come up to you and be like, you make friends real easy. I really want to know how to do it. How do you do it? And you're like, cool, you're my friend now. Let's do this. I'm going to take you and show you the ropes. So, yeah, it definitely has to be circular, but it's got to start somewhere in the same right. And that's with going in. Start to notice the dirty, nitty-gritty details about your experience in the moment as you go throughout your day. Where are your thoughts at? What are you trying to accomplish? Is it... I'll do it again. I'm going back there. Is it dishes? Do dishes just need to get done? Like, where are your thoughts at? Where are your emotions at while you're in that experience? How can you change that? Are you sitting down? Are you enjoying it? Are you listening to some good music and into a good book? Like,
holding yourself accountable for not doing the dishes.
Yes.
Like, babe, those dishes needed done. Again.
And they're gonna stack. And
you shouldn't be doing that. And those are some of the times where we really criticize the fuck out of ourselves and we get real upset. But
but it's an opportunity to parent yourself the way you could have been parented when you were younger and the way you tried to parent your, I mean, think about it. If everything comes from within and everything outside of us is a projection of our reality or a reflection of self, then that means we got to go within and parent ourselves so that we can learn how to properly parent our children.
Stop that knee-jerk reaction. Like, I told you to do those dishes. You know those dishes should have been done. And blah, 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 blah. How would it have better helped you when you were a kid to get those dishes done the next time?
And did
to
it?
Stop
And if it did,
procrastinating.
and if it did get you on the ball and rolling, it ties to a trauma, and then that goes into your adulthood, and then you feel antsy whenever your house is a mess because things didn't get done, and it's cyclical. You know, it goes back in a circle. It's a vicious cycle, so it's breaking that cycle.
What is the least amount of effort that you could put into making dishes enjoyable? You don't gotta make it ridiculous. Like, we're having fun doing dishes. Ugh.
Put extra soap in the dish sink so you've got extra bubbles to play with. Go get a bath toy and throw it in there. When you don't feel like scrubbing a dish, play with the bath toy for a minute. My kids have these little turtles, and if you put your finger on the top of the 2 little carbon buttons, they start swimming around in the water. I'm like, oh, like,
you know what? I just hate when the sponge gets nasty, moldy, icky, and I gotta do the dishes. Otherwise, I'm creating that nasty, moldy sponge, and then I gotta go get new ones, and I'm gonna be pissed off because I don't have clean sponges to do the dishes with, so I can't do the dishes anyways because I'm gonna be cleaning with the icky sponge. So just
when I'm done
we're
with
gonna do this, babe. We're gonna kick this habit.
When I'm done with the sponge, I have a bottle of rubbing alcohol under the sink, and I pour rubbing alcohol over it and let it absorb it. So then it just like kills off whatever it can.
What?
Yeah, it's not
I
like
keep
a guaranteed
thinking I need to
fix,
have that
but
special sponge holder that just makes sure that the sponge drains, so I'm not keeping that nasty, icky sponge on that metal surface
that
or the
definitely
ceramic
helps
surface.
too. That definitely helps
Like, oh,
too.
if I just got that thing, but then I have one of those things, and I've got so many dishes that thing's not gonna do anything because it keeps getting knocked down because there's so many dishes.
Yeah.
Just do the dishes, babe. Just do them.
And then, like, if dishes are too hard, like, think about it. There's a lot of trauma associated with the word dishes. So if dishes is not what you want, you could just, I'm going to wash 3 dishes. Instead of saying, I've got to do the dishes. When you say I got to do the dishes, man, like, that's everything. That's the counters, that's the tables, that's your floors, that's your garbage, that's your stovetop, that's putting them away, that's washing them, letting them dry. If you're really ambitious, you'll get them put away again. I should turn on the...
Or every time I go to open the fridge and look for a snack aimlessly, knowing there's nothing in there that I want to eat, I'm going to wash a couple dishes. I mean, I'm spending a couple minutes in the kitchen anyways, so I'm just going to wash a dish, or I'm going to scrape a couple off and put it in the dishwasher. Just because I opened the fridge again, aimlessly.
Oh, no.
And then make it a fun thing. Or it's something that you are practicing holding yourself accountable for.
And it's like, you got to be firm with yourself, right? Like, you've got to be firm with yourself. You can't allow yourself to get away with excuses, but you don't have to be an asshole to yourself. You know, you can be like, all right, you dropped the ball, but it's not too late. You can get your butt back up. You can go over there. You can do the things, you know? Maybe it is like, just think how awesome it would be to go up to somebody and say hi to them, just to practice getting comfortable with saying hi to random people. And it seems nerve-wracking, and it's anxiousness, and you're contacting another soul, another energy, and you don't know how that's going to go, and you have no idea how this person's going to take you. When you say hi, you don't know what direction. Like, it's the unknown. But on the flip side of that, you're giving yourself an experience, and you're seeing how it goes, with the intention of trying to get that experience again by saying hi to somebody else. And as it becomes easier to do, you're opening yourself up to being able to have more conversations. It may give you the confidence to talk back to the person at the restaurant when something isn't right and get your stuff fixed. It's because it's, you know, whether it's a big deal or not, it's just about choosing yourself in those instances.
Because we're already really practicing some of these things. We're already really practicing recognizing these things about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
We're already doing the work, but you get to a point where it doesn't feel like you've gotten very far with it. But you have. And you just need to recognize the little bits that you're doing, you know? as you're dating someone, all the little things that they do matter. The little things that they do stand out the most. It's the glue that holds it together. That's the glue that holds self-love together, man. Keep practicing it. You are not doing as bad as you think you are.
And even if you are doing as bad as you think you are, you can accept that, and then you can just do 1% better.
And the fact that you recognize that is freaking awesome.
It's freedom. But honestly, guys, like, acknowledging your downfalls, accepting yourself where you're at, is the most liberating feeling in the world. And the only thing keeping you from that is your own ego saying, I just don't know if I can handle actually thinking through that again. And it's like, I know it's hard, and I know that it's traumatic, and it's feelings, and it's all these things, and it bombards you all at once. I'm not asking you to go dive balls deep and get to the core of it now. Stick your toe in the water. Hell, if you can't stick your toe in the water, at least look at the water. Be like, all right, I've got to acknowledge this. That's enough for today. I've acknowledged it. Try again tomorrow. And then the next time it can be, all right, so I guess this is a problem because I don't like how it makes me feel. Oh gosh, that feeling. All right, I guess I'm going to table this for now. I'm going to sit with this feeling for at least 5 seconds. Maybe more if I can handle it, but at least 5 seconds. I'm going to start to get familiar with this feeling that I'm scared to feel. And that's going to unravel your pathways. That's going to allow you to practice your self-love. But you got to do the hard things. And the hard things are only hard because your brain tells you it is. Once you start doing them and you get the practice, you realize the hard things aren't hard. They're just full of a lot of sensories. It's physical, it's emotional.
I could almost guarantee
spiritual.
that you're already doing this.
Yeah.
A lot of you are already doing this. The fact that it's mulling over in your brain, that you keep mulling over it and you're still chewing on it and you're trying to look at it from different perspectives, that is 90% of the work.
It is. And the cool thing about perspective is it's...
Recognize that. Recognize that you're doing that. Recognize that you've been working on it. Recognize that you are not in the same spot that you were so many months ago, years ago. I'm just saying, dude. Recognize that.
And look at it. Have you moved upwards? Have you moved downwards? It's okay if you've moved either direction. It's acknowledging it, because until you acknowledge it, it's just going to keep going in the direction that it is.
You're moving. You're not stuck.
And the beautiful thing is when you acknowledge your growth and you own it, you accept it the same way you accept the bad stuff, man, that's empowering. So accepting the bad stuff is freedom. It's liberation. Accepting the growth and acknowledgement of that is empowerment. That brings confidence. That brings you get to see what you really are. And you get to love and appreciate that. And it blossoms, it radiates. It starts as this small little ember, and then all of a sudden it's a fire. And then it goes from a fire to like a plasma beam. And then from a plasma beam to this big explosion that just covers your whole body. And you're like, holy cow. What other things do I need to work on so I can feel this all over again? Because this feels good. It did the things.
Let me use myself as an example for the friends that I have encountered recently that are experiencing this. I have people in my life, I've been working on boundaries. I've been practicing setting boundaries. I'm such a people pleaser. I want to make everybody feel good and happy that it's at the detriment of myself. So I've been practicing setting boundaries, and it has definitely thinned the people that have come towards me, that are in my life, that I find myself surrounded with. And the people that I find myself surrounded with,
Cream of the crop.
I love having them around. I love interacting with them. It's amazing. It did feel lonely for a bit, but it's not that lonely. I'm just not allowing all the appreciation and love and feelings come in that are around. But while I was setting the boundaries, as you learn to set boundaries, let me start there. As you're learning to set boundaries, they can come out really freaking harsh and firm and oh, here's this boundary. You know what? I gotta cut you off entirely. We can't have any contact. We gotta block each other on all social media. I just can't have anything around because you were bad. You are attached to this bad thing that happened, this feeling that I had. And while you're working on yourself and you're mulling over these feelings and fine-tuning, setting boundaries, you realize that you don't have to do it so aggressively. You can still distance yourself from people with love. You know, it's okay. I recognize that I was at a certain point that's similar to where you're at, but I don't like that, and I'm working out some. But I understand that you are there, and that's okay.
I want to interject.
Okay.
All right, cool, because I'll forget it.
Okay.
So,
okay.
like,
I got my point across.
But going off of that,
Mm-hmm.
so I want to build on that. If you find yourself in a situation where you have, I'm going to say, you've gone inward enough to recognize where you're at, and it's gotten you to a point where you can start coming to an understanding of other people and where they're at, you know? When you start getting to that point, there may be people that you have completely cut out of your life and you don't need them, you don't want them in your life, and that's like completely in your rights. But they may know people that you also know, and it may be like a crossing of paths, an indirect crossing of paths. And I would say like an opportunity for self-love is to choose you, to allow yourself to just live your life as if that person's not going to come back anyway. And if they do, you can handle it when that happens. And if not, then boom, like you
getting to the point. Oh, sorry.
Hold on. So like being able to do that, being able to practice self-love in that manner is like, it's huge. And it's right there on the tip of my tongue. Gosh damn it. When you're choosing to live your life by your own choices and not worrying about the energy of others interfering in your life, you're not molding your life path around people that you would rather just avoid. That is another form of its own freedom. And that is a really good way to practice your self-love, and that will definitely open you up to see so many different avenues in which your self-love can be going in, I guess you could say.
Learning to accept people where they are at.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you've previously interacted with this person and had a falling out or something happened and they just left a bad taste in your mouth. So each time you see them, you just like, that person.
Yeah, like when I was...
And learning to see them and be like...
When I was freshly divorced from my first ex, it was... For like a solid 6 months, I was always just so skittish to go anywhere in town. Like, what if I ran into her? Like, what would I say to her? And then finally one day I looked at myself like, Brady, you're never gonna get out and do anything with your life if you're hiding from all the places in town because there's a possibility you're running into. Like, who cares? You can worry about that situation when and if it happens. And I say when and if because I'm banking on the if more than the when. You know? And
falling out in relationships.
Well, and then when it finally came to that point, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was awkward, and there was no verbal exchange because that was just the result of that relationship. But it was also like, oh man, this really wasn't as bad as I made it out to be. Like, gosh, I'm glad I chose to live for myself sooner rather than later because I got myself worked up over nothing. I don't know. It could have been something. We don't know. I was just fortunate the situation played out that way.
While you're working on all this mental jungle gymming through your head on what you're going to do if you encounter that person, they're doing the same thing.
Or maybe they're not. Maybe
they're not at that point. So
well, I wouldn't even say point, but maybe they're past that point. Maybe they've moved past the whole idea of ever running into you because they've got better things to worry about with their life, you know? Like,
yeah,
they could be one step ahead of you.
But like meeting them where they're at. So like, I don't know. I'm trying to broadly say this. Like, if it's if it's in a friendship that you're having or you had just lost, or if you are in a relationship and it's rocky, or it's ended and you're crossing paths. I don't freaking know. But man, if you can understand that you had to work to get to the point to where you're at mentally, all the jungle gymming that you've done, how much have they done?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you had a relationship of any sort with this person, you would understand
what was the
a
dynamic
little
of
bit
that?
about how they process things. And
what was the dynamic of that relationship? What was the give and pull? Like, you can give exceptions all day long, but in your heart of hearts, you know which.
they're jungle gymming it in their mind too. So
and they've got to figure it out, and they've got to figure it out from their own perspective. And if you guys are already butting heads, then
you guys are coming to different points anyways. So
and then trying to come to understanding
thought
with that is fine. And that's what you work towards, is trying to find that understanding. But sometimes there's that point where that understanding, it's just like your values don't align, or you've got different goals, or what have you. It doesn't matter the situation, but at the end of the day, learning to meet that, accepting them where they are at. Accepting that maybe they're the world's biggest asshole and they're so dense and they just can't get a fucking clue. That's okay. Like, it's okay.
They just haven't done much introspection at all, have they?
And here's
wow.
And here's the thing. Maybe they've done a lot of introspection.
And they push it all off onto somebody else.
Well, but maybe they've done a lot of the work, and you don't know. That's what I'm saying. Is like, you don't know. So you can only, like, what you perceive of them, you can't use that to hate them. You can only accept that that's how you can see them. Like, so if you see him as this dense bonehead that can't figure it out, like, well, then do it with love. Like, all right, he's just dense. He can't figure it out. He's got other things he's got to figure out before he's ready to figure this out, or he's already figured this out and he's moved on to other things, and I'm just, either which way, like, that's where he's at, and I can accept that.
And they can only meet you at the point that they're at
themselves. Yep.
So you can't expect them to have done all this introspection and self-love work that you've been working on, that we've been working on, if they're not that kind of person, or if that hasn't, obviously, in your relationship, been something that was important to them.
Yeah,
they're focused on something. Is it introspection and self-love and communication and understanding you?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, looking at where they're at.
Can you really be that upset if they're not at that point that you're at?
You can be upset that they didn't take the journey with you, and you have every right to, especially if
recognizing that you were doing this alone. Man, good on you.
And keep going.
You're planting seeds.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking about it.
And even if they're not thinking about it now, at some point it will come back into their brain. Everything's cyclical. Everything comes back around. Karma is real. You get what you get. You reap what you sow. Or you harvest what you... No, you reap what you sow. It's just like... It's just... You can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. So, like... I guarantee you guys, when you get this self-work done, say it's leaving a hard relationship. That one's a really easy one to relate to. It's a hard thing to do. There's a lot of excuses involved. There's a lot of feelings involved, especially if it's a long relationship, because, you guys have intermingled energies for so long. But as you choose you do the self-work, say it goes down that road, or you guys break apart, and you come to these realizations of where you were at, where you were really at, where you were missing it, where you could do all these things, where you could see where they may have missed it based off of where you were missing it, all that stuff. Like, as that all happens, oh no. Gosh damn it, that was a really good point. As that all happens, you are going to find a similar situation that will come back around. And it's not a thing to throw back in your face. It's not to say you haven't learned your lesson yet. It's an opportunity to allow yourself to use all of these tools of growth that you have acquired in that situation so that it can go a different route.
Oof.
And that is the real goal. Like, if everything comes back around, you better figure it out, work out those things. It's not that you have to figure out the lesson. It's that get enough growth under your belt so that when it comes back around again, you don't have to relive it the same way. You can push it a different direction. That may be completely sidestepping that situation and be like, I'm above that. I've been there. I've done that. I'm not doing it again. I got better things to do with my time. Awesome. Or it could be, yeah, I see the potential in this relationship. I can see some similarities to what I was experiencing, and I could go about it differently. And it doesn't mean you commit, but you're going to try with the first thing. Go about it differently. See how it goes. You're going to be attentive and be small stepping, if you will, in that direction. And like, all right, cool. So I saw this issue and I confronted him on it, and it's something that we had a really good conversation. There wasn't conflict.
Good on you for confronting him about it.
Yeah, see? So like, that's the point of your self-growth. It's to get the tools to be able to learn how to have the healthy, what you want in your life. So when you're stuck and you really want to make that hard choice, but you're so scared of the reaction of that other person, it's okay to acknowledge that fear. But don't let that fear keep you from stepping over the line and doing what needs to be done. Allowing yourself to have a voice. Allowing yourself to set a boundary. Allowing yourself to walk away from a situation.
And then praising yourself for allowing yourself to do that.
For giving yourself the freedom to act the way you would like to act.
Acknowledging that. These are the little intro steps into the little small things of self-love. The glue that holds all this self-love that you've been working on together.
I feel like
acknowledge it.
I feel like we just hit like a really big overview of our topic over the last like 4 months. Like, we hit on so many different aspects that we've already hit on, and I feel like we just took all of our talks and literally just molded it all into one big session. Like, all right, guys, now that we've brought you all of these tools, we're gonna conglomerate it, contain it into one big example, so you can see the start to finish product.
We're like at the halfway point. It's been roughly about 6-ish months that we've been doing this. Yeah.
And really, like, this topic of self-improvement, like, I guess really from this point, a lot of our talks are going to be a lot more on just methods, and they're going to step into maybe more of the occult in some instances, maybe more touches on
different religions, spiritual texts,
rituals, traditions, cultural, so on and so forth. It's really, we're in discover mode now, right? Like, so from this point, like, we've got all the tools, we've given all the tools, we've talked about how to put them all together. So now moving forward, it's finding the different avenues to explore the different processes that can broaden what you've already known, whether it's deepening the understanding or branching it out into new avenues. And the only way to do that is to really get into the weird, you know? It's the only way I can say it.
While we're doing all this introspection and
we'll
connecting things and connecting ourselves to the rest of the world.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a really good, you know, a lot of talk shows have something that they can talk a million talks on. And I don't know, I don't listen to a lot of talk shows, but I feel like being able to progress people forward with you as a whole and get to see growth in your own talk show and how it's going and moving forward, and it's like evolving into its own thing. It's not something that's just a niche that stays in the niche and just grabs people as those people fall into that interest. You know, like, this is like, we're grabbing a community, like, all right, community, we're gonna grow together and we're gonna do the things, and we're trying to get you guys involved.
Well, you are growing with us. You are growing with us. That was the idea of starting the group.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
And Braden and I had this weird like epiphany together the other day of how we could
further expand.
propel the Esoteric Nexus group. Oof. And it was beautiful. Like, I thought, well, you know, as we were talking about New Year's and all that it brings and how the past has shaped us and how we want to continue forward with our future. I felt like I was resting last year and gathering all the information and working on me, and I feel like I have come into 2025 and I'm ready to go. And then I was saying I felt like nothing was happening. We're halfway through January and like I feel like a revved up rubber band and like
just any minute now you can shoot me.
All right.
Yep. I feel that. And then boom, a break of fresh air that really there's a lot of potential in. I'm excited to see what direction it goes.
Oh, you guys, it's gonna be so exciting.
I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited for you guys to get more vocal with us and start sharing your experiences of growth that you have.
I'm excited for summer or spring. You know what? Spring and summer, I feel like, you know, I'm going to pull some of you guys out. We're going to come to some like barbecues. We're going to be outside. People want to get the hell out because we're sick and tired of winter and being cooped up inside.
And we all want to make friends.
We're going to have some events. Yeah. And we want to make friends, guys. I need friends.
I need friends.
We all need friends. We need adult friends.
I'm like,
making adult friends is hard. Come be awkward with us. We're about it. Let's do it. I'm so excited. Super excited.
Man.
Recognizing that you know, I did a lot. I did a lot to get to where I'm at, and I'm excited. Like, man, I almost feel like I found my purpose.
Right?
Purpose in life.
I'm right there with you. Man, I feel like a level 30 character on a video game. Yes.
We hit the level up and it's like bling.
I can't wait to see what
now use your character skill points and put them there.
I don't even think I get that option. I feel like every experience auto allocates to like the specific skill that you just experienced. So like if you have a heated debate and it ends up good, that's like you get a lot of skill points in your speech development. And if you had a heated debate and it didn't end up so hot, you still get skill points because you had the conversation. There's just not as much because it wasn't like a good resolution to continue forward with, you know? Like there were better, more point options.
That's not as blingy as I expressed. But I feel like you dimmed the bling.
What? Man. No, but I like it. But think about it this way. You don't have to auto-allocate. You don't have to...
It's more like a... Well, and it's over.
But the beauty of it is like you don't have to sit there and think in your head, all right, I got all these skill points. Where do they go? Like that was my hard part. Like when I first started,
I suppose. Yeah, your way is much simpler.
Well, when I first started viewing myself as a video game character,
I'm just gonna add Sonic the Hedgehog ring dings. To it.
I'm about that. Well, that's kind of what it is for me. Like when I first started, because I was like, man, I kick ass at video games. I am rich as fucking video games. Like, how can I do that in real life? I was like, well, what if I just start picturing my life as a video game? That means, and then I started thinking, like, well, what do I do in my video game? Well, I gotta go explore. I gotta go, and then I gotta acquire skills. I was like, oh my gosh.
You gotta write a book about this perspective of video gaming life, Brandon.
So then it was just like, that's how I gotta view it. And then, but then I had all these skill points, and I'm like, well, what do I do with these skill points? Like, I mean, I got skill points from this and this, and I was like, you know, I gotta auto-allocate. Then I don't have to hold on to the skill points. So every time that I have an experience, every time it's talking, or every time it's manual labor, every time it's my artwork, like they are already categorized. And then here's where it gets really cool. As you get more experience points in the areas, like as you auto-allocate the points in the areas, branches of understanding open up and you get to acquire new skill possibilities because you have a better understanding of the skill that you've been building. So then you get to see more, and then like then you can choose like, oh man, this skill that I just discovered, I realized look at that, there are like 500 skill points already invested into that one, and I wasn't unlocked because I wasn't aware of it, but it's been invested in. Like, how cool is that? So then you're opening up skills, and you have no idea what your proficiency level is until you see it.
I'm saying, Brayden, you gotta write a book about it.
You think?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to write a book about it.
Well, you could do your like audio notes to it, and then take your audio notes and then start
writing down.
Yeah.
And refining it.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would be a fun book to write. I'm pretty sure others have done it for me.
Do it anyways.
You're right, because it's not my version that's out there.
It'd be exciting.
It would be. And with that, I mean...
All right.
Yeah, anything
Yeah.
else? No?
No.
All right.
Book club, guys. Book club.
First and third
I have started The
Thursday.
Alchemist. I haven't finished it. Read The Alchemist. Join us on February 6th at 7 p.m.
Yep, 7 p.m. If you don't want to read it, you can get on YouTube and listen to it.
Join the chat.
Join
We
the
have the
chat. It's
YouTube
there.
link for the audio of
Come
The
on,
Alchemist.
guys. Here's the thing. Like, you don't even have to read the whole book. There's so many people in the club. There's bound to be at least 2 people that have. And, like, not all books are going to be read from one meeting to the next. The Alchemist is just really, it's light reading. It's a 4-hour listen. You know, it's
Even
like
so,
60
if you
pages.
join us February 6th, we'll be talking about how we felt about The Alchemist and
So
what
even-
we took from it. And then you could add your input on what books you want to read, and then we'll draw another book on February 6th.
And who knows, maybe it'll inspire you to read The Alchemist. Maybe it'll be really up your alley. And if not, who cares?
Yeah.
We're on to the next book. And you can join us on that one. You know?
Yes.
But get involved.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.
Next Wednesday. Have a good night, guys.
Hasta la bye-bye.
Au revoir.